Yo, how we doing today? How we doing? Here we are back with another YouTube vid, bro.
To have ever walked
Today we got a different type of vid. We never reacted to an animal type vid, and I always like those type of vids, so I might as well go ahead and react to one. We have the largest animals to ever walk on two legs by Extinct Zoo. I've never checked out this channel, so I hope it's like a really good channel because it has a lot of views and a lot of subscribers too. So we'll go ahead and get into it.
the Earth by a very
See
large
how
animal
interesting it
were the
is.
sauropods. And if you want to be a little bit more specific, the titanosaurs, a diverse group of longnecks that dominated the Cretaceous period and can be found in all 7 continents. They grew to sizes never seen before, and to call them giant may even be seen as an understatement, as some weighed over 80 tons, which is
God
more than
damn,
big,
bro.
and measured longer than 30 meters or 100 feet. So basically like stacking 7 African bush elephants back to back. And because they were
Holy.
just so gosh darn big and widespread, we usually don't stop to think about what the largest non-sauropods were. But now that you're thinking about it, you might assume that the animals designed to take down these behemoths, i.e. certain giant theropods, would logically be the answer, considering to take down big, you have to be big. And they definitely came close, with the Tyrannosaurus rex being capable of breaking 10 tons. But in reality, they were not the biggest non-sauropod, and there were bigger fish.
Yo, breaking 10, being able to break 10 tons is crazy power, bro. Do you understand? Like, do you understand how much power that shit is,
And the
bro?
real answer wasn't even an animal found in North America, instead, being found in late Cretaceous China, of all places, and was a dinosaur you likely have never heard of, the Shantungosaurus. It
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I've never heard of this. I've never heard of this, bro.
was originally described back in 1973, after researchers stumbled upon a field that contained 5 different skeletons in the Guangxi group of the Shandong Peninsula. These skeletons were rather scattered and quite incomplete, yet it was still crystal clear to the paleontologists that they had found a giant dinosaur, the likes of which were extremely rare in those parts. And because of the sheer scale of the bones, it was half expected that these belonged to a sauropod, yet the shape obviously entailed that it was not one, and rather a new kind of hadrosaur, which surprisingly bore a striking resemblance.
Bro, I'm not gonna lie. Like, this is one of the most interesting stuff. Like, alright, this is a question I've always wanted to ask people. So, if you had like a time machine, right? Let's say you're invisible, so they can't wherever you travel, you can't be seen. So, if you had a time machine and you're invisible and you can't be seen wherever you travel, where would you go? Like, what time of Earth, or what period of Earth would you go? Because I feel like I would go in the dinosaurs because I really want to know what they look like. Because I feel like this is not what they look like, to be honest. But this would be a really interesting time to go. Like I feel like, or the Ice Age. I feel like this is my two.
To the famous, but slightly younger, North American hadrosaur known as the Edmontosaurus, to whom it is now considered a close relative, and is actually situated within the same tribe, the Edmontosaurini. Both shared a variety of unique traits not typically seen in other hadrosaurs, like a distinct skeletal structure and dental batteries, remarkable considering the distance between the two. But what was more unexpected was that the Edmontosaurus, a hadrosaur famously known for its size, was actually the smaller of the two, as Shantungosaurus turned out to be titanic. In fact, one of the smallest known specimens,
So are we
who was
talking
likely a
about
juvenile,
the biggest or the smallest now?
equivalent to that of a fully grown elephant's, and it only got bigger from there, with a
Heck,
holotype measuring 14.7 meters or 48 feet in length, and weighing over 13 tons, so 7 times heavier than your average car. And keep in mind, this wasn't even on
things
the
are
high
heavy,
end
bro.
either, and the largest individuals may have been between 16 and 18 tons, while reaching 17 meters or 56 feet from head to tail. Additionally, more liberal weight estimates suggest even higher numbers, ranging from
God,
19 to 22 tons, but this is not confirmed and rather debated. But even at the lower estimates, this not only makes it heavier than every theropod we know of, Spinosaurus and T-Rex included, but also longer. Furthermore, at this size, it outclassed any other ornithischian ever discovered, the group to which not only it, but other dinosaur icons belong to, such as the Triceratops and Stegosaurus, which all makes it the largest non-sauropod dinosaur to ever be unearthed, with it actually even outclassing a few famous sauropods, while the largest known femur of it is actually comparable to even the biggest sauropods. And the owner of it, mind you, has not even been fully reconstructed. Although it is important to note that hadrosaurs had very different body proportions compared to sauropods, which is to say, don't hold your breath for a 100-ton Shantungosaurus. But still, it was absolutely massive, and compared to other famous herbivores, you'll find that it was over 3 times the size of a Stegosaurus, double that of an
So it was a
Ankylosaurus,
herbivore.
i.e. a living tank,
You
and
would, the
roughly
way he's
40
talking
times
about him, you would
larger
think he was
than
a
the mass
carnivore.
of a
You think he's a
Triceratops.
beast.
And just for good measure and comparison, it would take about 260 average-sized humans to make it up in weight. So suffice to
Damn.
say, this was an absolute
260 is crazy.
and because paleontologists
Wait, so the weight was like he said like 16 tons. 260 humans, not 16 tons. What the hell? He must have gotten the math wrong, right?
believe it could have at least partially walked on its two hind legs, it is thus also considered the largest bipedal animal to have ever lived. So clearly, it was an anomaly, even amongst dinosaurs. But how does it compare to the largest mammals? And the answer is pretty good actually. And really, there are only two terrestrial mammals that even make sense to compare it with: the Paleoloxodon pneumaticus and the Paraceratherium. So a giant elephant
hell's that
and a
second
rhino,
one?
respectively.
Oh,
And while
rhino.
both of these mammals have been given max estimates, similar to
Bro,
what
the
seems
rhino
like
let me got a little horn on his thing.
most think that on average, Shantungosaurus was heavier, and definitely longer, thus giving it a good shot at taking the title for the biggest non-sauropod animal to ever walk the earth, period. And what makes everything crazier is that the larger sizes seem to be the standard, not the exception, as a discovery of over 50 Shantungosaurus specimens, possibly up to 100, found that each one was likely well over 10 tons, so who knows how big the true giants really got. This does make one wonder though, why was the Shantungosaurus so enormous compared to other hadrosaurs? And to be honest, we'll probably never truly know. But for now, most researchers believe its exceptional
Wish I could
size
know, bro.
was in order to ward off any predators, and to allow it to reach the foliage that others could not. And in fact, the only other animal in its environment that might have occupied the same niche was the titanosaur Zhucheng titan, who might have even been a tad smaller. It's not every day that the largest dinosaur around was a hadrosaur instead of a sauropod.
This is man interesting. I'm not gonna lie. Learning about new dinosaurs and shit like this. It's man interesting. I mean, most of the time I don't even know what he's saying, but shit, it's interesting
especially
though.
since it vastly outsized the biggest theropod in those parts, the Zhucheng tyrannus. As its name implies, this wasn't some chum, but rather a literal tyrannosaur. That was to the Shantungosaurus what a rex was to the Edmontosaurus. Only difference though is that the Zhucheng tyrannus wasn't as much of a threat, or that's the thought at least, as the largest adults only hovered around 5 tons, so about a third of the Shantungosaurus's weight. So while it may have been a threat to juveniles or newborns, hunting adults would have been rather questionable at best, and perhaps even riskier for it than the hadrosaur, seeing that the Shantungosaurus had an impressive array of defenses on its side.
They had to nerf him somehow because the dude said he was a herbivore, and imagine he was a carnivore, bro. He would have been tanked beast, most deadliest animal ever, bro.
Ran into you at top speed, it would have caused a whole world of hurt. And assuming a speed based on other large hadrosaurs, being hit by one would have packed more energy than the punches of over 1,000 professional boxers combined.
The boy
But
Tyson
funny
going
enough,
crazy.
standing in front of one might have actually been the smarter thing than standing behind or to the side of it. As in recent years, there's been an uptick in people who believe that the hadrosaurs were very capable kickers, who would use their giant hind limbs to obliterate an attacker.
They probably were, bro. If you think about it, horses are very capable kickers. You think these animals here are not very capable kickers?
Seeing that just one back leg of a Shantungosaurus was basically the
Shit gonna
entire
blow off
body
your
size
head.
of a large theropod. Additionally, along with kicking, there is further support that hadrosaurs were able to wield their tails too, which in the case of Shantungosaurus was longer than 2 cars, thicker than the tails of most sauropods,
Staying away
and
from these
composed of
things.
heavily ossified tendons. In other words, very hard. And this would have made it very stiff, but the hadrosaur could have perhaps moved its body from side to side in order to wield its tail almost like a club. And keep in mind that a hunter never had to worry about just one, as these guys stuck to large herds, making
hell no.
predation all that much harder. Plus, research on their skulls have found the presence of large openings near their nostrils, which in life likely was covered by loose flaps of skin that would inflate in order to create a variety of sounds. So we're potentially not only talking about an animal that could very well defend itself, but also warn others if danger was close. And then lastly, its bone structure was just in a general sense
Bro,
very
it's dead crazy to think because if you travel back to this time, bro, your dead ass gonna be smarter than the birds and shit like that.
robust.
Anything in the water, you're
High level
smarter than it.
durability. And again, making it almost impossible for anything to take down a fully grown adult. And so far, there is no evidence that the Zhucheng tyrannus operated in packs to work around these defensive capabilities. Now, all these features and traits made Shantungosaurus fairly intimidating for a hadrosaur, and really for any dinosaur. And it was likely the closest thing we had to a tank in its environment. But ultimately, it was still like others of its kind, a strict vegetarian, who possessed highly unique dental batteries that would have made them a nightmare for any dentist.
See, bro, you see.
Considering that each one had a mouth pack full
Damn.
with over 1,500 tiny teeth that continually replaced them
1,500 teeth? Bro, hell nah.
were unusually complex for a dinosaur and were arranged in columns that helped individuals.
What the hell, bro? 1,500 teeth in one mouth is crazy.
They also had huge beaks that were designed to shear or crop leaves and foliage off of a plant, and thus making them very efficient eaters, while also possibly doubling as nipping devices too. And when you combine their bodies and herd size, you get an animal that could do a lot of work to forest and vegetation in general, through eating and movement. I mean, even small herds of elephants today are known to dramatically reduce vegetation density, so just imagine what 50 or more giant Shintungosaurus lumbering around would do to the vegetation. And they almost definitely played an important role in shaping their environments, likely being a keystone species. But for now, the Shintungosaurus is only known to have lived in areas associated with the Wangxi group, which back during the late Cretaceous was a vast floodplain with a very warm and humid climate and a diverse range of flora, which mainly consisted of cycads, ginkgos, conifers, and ferns. This combination resulted in an extremely dinosaur-rich environment, and the area in which Shintungosaurus was found is actually known for having the most dinosaur fossils of any known formation, with other genera including the Sinoceratops, Zhuchengceratops, Ischioceratops, Zhucheng titan, Anomalepes,
I don't know what none of these mean, bro.
Dimmachosaurus,
None of these names.
Micropachycephalosaurus,
All these names is new to me.
Cyanenkylosaurus, and another kind of undescribed ankylosaur. Meanwhile, while far less abundant,
Oh, what the hell is this, bro?
non-dinosaurs have been
Oh,
found
rat,
as well,
bro.
in the form of fish, turtles, and even a poorly
Big
preserved
ass rat.
alien. Now, as previously mentioned, Shintungosaurus was essentially the largest animal in this environment. But what's interesting,
Of course, half of the
is that it
screen,
didn't have a
goddamn.
wide range in general, despite having a fairly respectable duration of existence. While on the flip side, many other hadrosaurs could be found across wide areas, which leads some paleontologists to hypothesize that its size came at a cost, with not many places being capable of supporting such a large and gregarious creature. Additionally, many larger titanosaurs lived outside of the area, and therefore it may have been harder for this hadrosaur to expand and establish itself outside of the area that it was found. But nevertheless, it still found great success, having survived for over 10 million years
Oh shit,
before
it's not
finding
the mic,
material
bro.
from the fossil record. But now you may be wondering, how does a sauropod-sized hadrosaur go extinct? And the answer is,
For
for
real.
now, no one is certain. Yet there are a couple of ideas. The first one again goes back to its size, being that its large energy requirements eventually came back to haunt it, especially when its environment underwent
So he
changes.
didn't die because of the meteor
Ultimately,
thing?
was no longer able to support such a large animal
Or
and
the,
herds.
whatever it was, yeah.
The second idea is that a local extinction event may have taken place,
Yeah.
as certain parts
that
of the
means-
formation have been connected to lava and pyroclastic flows, indicating that the region had some level of volcanic activity.
I thought he
which
said
could have proved
that
detrimental.
he lived everywhere in the
The final
world.
idea is that it simply evolved into another hadrosaur, as they would actually remain a
Imagine.
staple in China until the very end.
Evolution is literally
Although
crazy, bro.
No hadrosaur would ever again get as big as the largest non-sauropod dinosaur ever, and nor, presumably, has anything else. Thanks for watching, and until next time.
That's that interesting, bro. We're gonna get this dude a like for sure. That's that interesting, bro. Because I like these type of videos. I'm gonna make some more of these videos, but these videos are scary. See this one right here, the most terrifying island to ever exist on? That one looks mad interesting, bro. But I hope y'all boys enjoyed this video, man. Let me know if y'all want more of these type of videos. Like I fuck with these type of videos. So I'll make some more for y'all. So I hope y'all really enjoyed it, and y'all boys have a good one. Y'all boys stay safe.